In this video, we're talking about YouTube SEO. Specifically, you're going to learn the leaf strategy. Now, you may have heard about keyword research before or YouTube SEO before. If you haven't learned the leaf strategy, you've got to watch this video and it's going to turn things upside down. You're going to actually get results with this strategy. For example, your videos are going to rank at the top of YouTube like this. At the top of the search bar here, I put in this question, 10 things you should never say to your child. Paul Jenkins is a client of mine, he's at the very top. Nicolene Peck is a client of mine, she's number 2. If you type in how to make virtual team meetings fun, you find Chad Littlefield in position 1 and 2. If you type in how to become a politician, you find Jay Townsend, he's ranked in number 1 and 2. If you type in how to treat hormonal imbalance in teenage girls, you find Dr. Carrie Ann Perkins at the top. There's Chris Abbott at the top. There's Chris Miles at the top. There's Laurel Langmeyer at the top. You've probably heard about tags or optimizing your video. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. The majority of that stuff doesn't work at all, but what you're going to learn in this video is very tactical and it works every time. So to teach you my leaf strategy, we're going to start out learning my tree analogy, and then I'm going to teach you a 5-ingredient formula that if you follow all 5 ingredients, you will get results. Let's dive right in. Take a look at this tree. All right, it's got a very big or broad trunk. The trunk goes out to all the different branches, and then at the end of the branches, these are the leaves, okay? The trunk of the tree represents your core area of expertise, and all the different branches represent the different categories of expertise that you have. The leaves are the most important. The leaves represent the questions your target audience is asking. Now, for it to really be a leaf, it has to be a long, specific question. So we don't want to make videos on trunk topics or on branch topics, not even if we break it down by category, but we want to make videos on very, very specific questions, the leaf topics or leaf titles, you'll hear me say. So let's say you're an expert in productivity, okay? An example of a leaf would be what can increase productivity in a dental office. Or another one, how to improve productivity on a construction site. Notice how the beginning of those sentences is different. One says what can increase productivity, and the other one, how to improve productivity. The wording is very, very specific because I didn't make these up. I did keyword research to find the exact wording that people are asking when they go to Google and YouTube and they type in these questions. And so these are 2 questions that I really did find. Now notice how specific they are. That makes these super valuable. So if you are a productivity expert, you find these titles and now you hit record and you're talking in one episode, you're talking to the dental team. You're going to be talking to the dentist, to the dental hygienist, to the receptionist. But in the other video, you might be sharing some of the same principles, but you're going to be talking to this construction team. Let me show you another example. Let's say you're an expert in nutrition. Some leaves might be how to calculate nutritional value of a recipe, or how to carry nutrition during a marathon. So specific, and that's the type of questions you want to find. Let me show you my favorite tool to use. It's called the Keyword Magic Tool, and you can get a free trial if you go to herokeywordtool.com. Okay, so another example would be change. Let's say you're an expert at helping people or businesses navigate change. So you put that's the trunk, right? Whatever your trunk is, whatever your core area of expertise is, or a branch, you put that in the search bar and you hit search. You come over to the left and you hit the questions button. Come over and you pull down the advanced filters. I'm only worried about this one advanced filter called word count. Notice there's an 8 there. I love starting with the default of 8 or more word questions, and in this case, questions about change. So here's some examples that I found. How to deal with a life-changing injury, or how to deal with employees' resistance to change, how to change your life at 60 years old. Notice the search volume. The higher the search volume typically means the higher the competition. The lower search volume is actually the low-hanging fruit. Even if a video only has 10 searches per month, this is search traffic. Those 10 views are people that are searching for you. And if you follow all the ingredients in this strategy, you'll typically generate a lead, even from 10 views. It's easiest to rank for the videos that have a lower amount of views. You don't want it to be 0, you want it to be at least 10 searches per month. But if you have one video that gets 10 views, another video that gets 10 views, a third one that gets 10 views. Eventually your video gets more and more ranking on YouTube, and you can start to go after the phrases with higher search volume. To illustrate another great feature of this tool, I'm going to switch topics and talk about, let's say you're a podcast expert and you're teaching other people how to be successful as a podcaster. So if you put podcast in there, turn on the questions button, turn on the word count filter. There are tons and tons of examples, like what equipment do you need to start a podcast? How to record a podcast with people in different locations? How to make a podcast without a microphone? I don't know that that's possible. How many podcast episodes should you launch with? How to market your podcast on social media? What makes a podcaster different from a YouTuber? What I love about this tool is it gives you an unending supply of titles or topics to talk about. So these are all leaf titles, and this tool makes that job easy. So now that you have that foundation, understand the tree analogy, and you know what a leaf title is, you're ready to learn the 5 ingredients of the leaf strategy. Okay, so ingredient number 1 is to choose your target branch. In order to know that you found the right branch, we need a few ingredients, okay? You want to do a competition analysis. You look at the branch and you've got to figure out, and I'll show you some examples, but you want to know that you can compete on this branch. I'm going to show you what it looks like to turn no's into yeses. So coming back to the visual of this tree, we're going to hone in on one single branch and compare it to other branches. And once we choose the branch that we want, we're going to make leaf videos and answer the questions just on that branch. We're going to ignore the questions on the rest of the tree. So here's an example from my client, Noelle Randall. This is actual keyword research we did for her in the early part of 2024. So notice that every one of these questions, every one of these leaf titles has those 4 words, the real estate investor find. So we're like 4 branches in, real estate investor find. Compare this branch to the real estate investor become branch. So those branches are really close. They both share the same level 3 branch on this tree. Real estate investor find, real estate investor become. Okay, when I showed these 2 branches to Noelle, she looked at this first branch and she said, seeing it grouped this way, that's actually not my target audience. I don't need to pursue those questions because I don't want to rank at the top of Google or YouTube for those questions. But when she looked at this branch, the become branch, she said, every one of these questions is golden. I know who this target audience is. I want to rank at the top for every single one of these. So we checked the ranking. For the first branch, look at the right column on February 10th. We went to Google and we typed in every single one of these questions, and we put a yes if we found Noelle right at the very top, meaning she's the top 3 listings. If we had to scroll down a bit more, but we still found her in the top 20, that's what starting means. But if we didn't find her anywhere in the top 20, that's what a no means. So this branch that she doesn't really care to dominate, she's actually got a good amount of traction. I've been working with her for 4 years prior to this, starting in the year 2020. And we filmed a lot of content, but we were looking for more opportunities. And this branch, seeing it this way, she doesn't want to dominate it, but she already has a good amount of traction. So what about the other branch? This is the branch she wants to dominate. And we were excited actually when we found a whole bunch of no's. We only found 2 yeses on this branch. So this is the gold that we were searching for. If you look at this column right here, filming date, you'll see that we filmed 5 of these episodes in February. We filmed a few more in March. We filmed a few more in April. Now take a look how her ranking increased over the following months. By April 18th, we had turned those 2 yeses into 8 yeses. By May 16th, even more. By July 3rd, even more. So this is what I call dominating on YouTube. Noelle totally dominates this branch now on YouTube. All right, so let's go back and let's talk about ingredient number 2. When you find the target branch, you want to film every leaf on that branch. That's the easiest way to dominate it, and start with the low-hanging fruit. Now, one piece of advice is when you're filming every leaf, I actually recommend filming 20 episodes in a day. This is just batch filming. This is a way to be really, really efficient. So whether you're launching 1 episode a week, this is going to give you 20 weeks worth of content. Or if you're launching 7 episodes a week, this is going to give you 20 days of content filmed in a single day. You must use the leaf titles, so the exact wording of those questions that you find on that branch. Now, if there's a little bit of repetition from one leaf video to another, that's okay, because the target audience for every one of these leaf videos is people who've never heard of you before. Okay, ingredient number 3, you want to film one lead magnet video for the branch. Typically, you're just going to film one lead magnet video and then the rest, 20 to 49 different leaf title videos. The biggest difference between a leaf video and a lead magnet video is the call to actions on your leaf videos. The call to action is going to lead to the lead magnet video. You're going to get to the end of this video and tell them to go watch this video next. At the end of your lead magnet video, your call to action is a lead magnet. You're going to give away a free gift at the end of a lead magnet video. Ingredient number 4 is you're going to make talking head videos, just like you're watching here. And I want to talk about what's going to make the talking head videos better. So the first thing we're talking about is time. A sweet spot for this type of content is 8 to 12 minutes. It's okay if some episodes are even shorter than this. This is just the average. So if you have a 7-minute or a 6-minute video, but you have another one that's like 12 or 15 minutes long, that's good. You just don't want to create shorts for content like this. All right, you want to make sure that you're outlining talking points and not writing out a full script. Okay, you want to be conversational in your video. You don't want to be reading and trying to use a teleprompter. This will save you so much time in preparation. Okay, if you can't read that, it says curiosity hooks. You want to make sure that at the beginning of your videos, you set curiosity hooks to let people know what's coming, to let people know why they should watch the video. You know, by the end of this video, you will blank. I'll come up to the camera more and demonstrate this for you of how not to do it and how to do it. Okay, so a client of mine, Doreen Spackman, years ago, we filmed this video, how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics. So I'm going to pretend that's my expertise for a minute, and I'm going to do 2 intros, one that is a bad intro and one that has curiosity hooks. Okay, so here's the bad example. All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, you're going to need 3 things. You need some fresh garlic, you need some raw honey, and you need some cayenne pepper. And if you mix those things together and take that, it'll get rid of your strep throat. So let's dive in and talk about that. So hopefully you saw why that was a bad example, but if not, when I deliver this better example, hopefully you'll be able to see a big difference, okay? All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, the first thing that we're going to be covering is why not antibiotics? And there's some reasons why you might want to consider an alternative. Then we're going to be talking about 3 different ingredients. We're going to go into the kitchen, and you probably have these 3 ingredients in your kitchen. We're going to be talking about why they're antiviral and their antibacterial properties. We're going to be talking about dosage and how to take this, okay? And then I'm going to share a story of my son. When he was really young, he had strep throat and he had a high fever, and we used this remedy. He experienced a side effect that you definitely are going to want to know about, so let's dive right in. So do you see how in the second example, I said statements of what's coming, but in a way that really created curiosity. You want to practice being able to set curiosity hooks in your videos. All right, take a look at these 6 thumbnails here that we designed for one episode for Jay Townsend. He's a politician coach. He helps people win elections. He teaches you how to run your campaign. Well, we designed 6 different thumbnails so that we could look at all of them together and see which one stands out, which one captures my attention, which one creates the most curiosity. Now, what you're not seeing on the screen is the leaf title, but on YouTube, you always see the title and the thumbnail together. So you'll notice that we use different text on the thumbnail. We use text here that will create curiosity, that will really catch their attention, and it's always shown with that leaf title. Here's another example for Chad Littlefield. We designed these 6 different thumbnails just so we could pick the best one for the YouTube channel. All right, one more thing I want to talk about here with ingredient number 4. You're going to have that call to action to watch the next video. The next video will be your lead magnet video. All right, now let's talk about ingredient number 5. You need to launch between 1 and 7 episodes every single week. Now, what's the difference? What happens if you just launch 1 versus 7? Well, I've got a question for you. How many branches do you want to dominate? Okay, on ingredient number 1, we talked about choosing your branch. And how many episodes can you film to dominate a branch? It might take 20 to 50. If over the next year, you hope to dominate 1 to 2 branches, then launching 1 episode per week will get you there. If in the next year you want to dominate between 7 and 15 branches, you're going to need to do more. You're going to need to launch 7 episodes per week. Now, if you've got a goal somewhere in the middle, you can go somewhere in the middle with the number of episodes you launch per week. You want to be consistent though. If you start out and you start launching 5 or 7 episodes per week, you do that for a few weeks and then you think, you know what, that's too much. I'm going to have to go down to 2 episodes per week. it would have been better to start with 2 episodes per week and just stay consistent with it over time. Now, if you ever want to increase, that's a good thing. So if you start with 1 or start with 3 episodes per week, and then after several months, you've got a stockpile, like I'm ready to increase to 5 episodes per week. That's what I recommend. We have covered a lot in this episode, and you probably want a lot more details about all of these steps. Good news is I have a free gift for you. It's in the form of a book. Yeah, it took 2 years to put this entire strategy into this book. I've printed it in full color so I can take you behind the scenes and show you examples of everything that we've talked about and really teach you how to master this strategy of leveraging YouTube to rank at the top of YouTube so you can generate leads for your business. Now, this is called a free plus shipping book. So as long as you're willing to pay the printing and shipping cost, then no profit to me. This is my gift to you. You can find a link below. The link is natesyoutubebook.com. I'll see you there.